I was born in Pune in the year 1954, and my mom and dad, they had shifted to Bombay. My dad was working in Kirky in the ordnance factory there, and I was born 1 month after he had expired. Actually, there was a massive explosion in that factory around that year only. So, what happened exactly, we basically don't know. And then my mother worked as a nurse at the JJ Hospital in Baikala, Bombay. And she had 8 mouths to feed. So slowly but surely she put all the children in various schools, St. Peter's, Mazagon, then Hutchings School, Pune. And ultimately she dumped me in Barnes School, Devlali in the year 1961. And from then on I continued my schooling. And the thing was that since the family was quite broken up, because there was no vortex, there was no central point to meet and all that, but each one of us was separate, different schools and all that. So I was left in the care of Barnes School, the principal, the teachers and the matron, etc. And then I grew up spontaneously. I had no parental sort of backing and all that. So whatever I learned from nature and whatever I learned from others, that sort of sharpened my personality. And as the years grew on, I became used to loneliness, because Barnes School is a massive school, 500 acres. And when you're left alone in the school for holiday, say the summer holidays and winter holidays and all that, you feel that loneliness in you, but I didn't miss it much because I got used to the loneliness. And there was a particular incident where I knew that there was a superpower watching over me. I was in class 4 that time, in the year 1964. And I was on my own. I was at the back of the building. There was a slide out there. And I climbed on the slide, entertaining myself, climbing up the steps of the slide, sliding down and then climbing up again, etc. And in that momentum, when I did it for the 5th time, I just lost my balance. I lost my grip on the railings of the slide, and I was falling backwards. And till today, when I'm telling you about this, I feel a little chill running down my spine, because I felt a very gentle but a very firm hand pushing me gently back onto the slide. And I spontaneously turned back and said thank you, and there was no one there. So I knew for a fact that there was some supreme power who was watching over me. And with that in mind, as the years went on, I never really bothered about sadness or depression or anger or happiness around, because everything was there. It was all part of my life. See, in a boarding school, religion basically comes and goes, in the sense that you are so preoccupied with the academics, with the activities. Now Barnes School had almost 16 activities for the boys, in fact. We had boxing, we had cross country, we had swimming, diving, football, hockey, cricket. I mean, you just name it. And then there were times when we used to play our own little private games. It was a Friday evening, almost every Friday evening. Ours was a Protestant school, so we were shut for Saturday and Sunday. And Friday evening, we used to organize our own games. We used to play kitty kitty, we used to play chore police, kick the can, a whole lot of games there. So we were really preoccupied 24/7 for 365 and a quarter days. Mm-hmm. And then whenever we did have church, we had church quite often. On a Sunday we had the morning service, and then we had the evening matin service, as they call it, in these Protestant schools. So we were pretty occupied out there, plus we balanced it with religion. But then once the kids used to go out for their holidays and I would be alone in the school and all that, then I had a lot of time to admire nature, because ours is a very, very sort of beautiful surrounding in Barnes School, Devlali. It's very hilly and it's got that western sort of atmosphere, like you see in the western films and the cowboy films of the old days and all that. So you had the ravines there, you had the cracks and the crevices, and then you had the thorn bushes and semi-desert vegetation and so on. So it added beauty to the landscape, and I would absorb that beauty, and in that way I came closer to God. Like I felt like God was there everywhere within the natural premises of nature. So from then on, I just kept God in my heart. Like,
You gave altogether a different perspective to teaching and learning. So the day I met you, I learned a lot of things from you. I still remember because I grew up in a town, and then there was once a time when I met you, and there was an immense change in my personality. I would only know one language, but then when I met Richard, uncle, I started to talk to him, and then he filled me with his knowledge, and he was such down to earth that he would talk to me about his personal experiences, and then what went in his family. So I found him quite true to his heart, and how he has become an inspiration today to the youth. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think there are so many big shots in Kanpur to whom you have taught, and not just in Kanpur, but there are a lot of people in this country that know you. So can you talk about that journey of your life a little, as to when you met these people, these big shots, how did you feel, and how did these people become your friends? And you'd also told me about another person, your friend in Mumbai. Rustam, yes. So can you tell our viewers a little about that? Is it really important to be with the big personalities, or do you think you can make your own personality recognizable by doing some things in your life?
see, the idea is to click. If you can click, I mean, the big guy and the small guy are all the same. But if you feel that he is a big shot and you're not a big shot and all that, then you don't feel too well about it, So I never really consider anyone a big shot. I never consider myself a small shot. I'm basically very, very secular in my way of thinking. I'm very, very democratic. And I have a very, very different style as far as the teaching is concerned. I've been teaching for the past 45 years, and I was a student naturally, so I knew exactly what it was to get bored in class, and I knew exactly which teacher would lighten up the show, etc. So I would learn a lot from those teachers that were very active and very learned and wanting to impart information, and at the same time maintaining a cordial relationship with the students. So I sort of evolved within that area. So when I started teaching in Bombay in 1975, of course I was handling the primary section, classes 3, 4, 5. And then I was learning there. And I had a fantastic training in Mount Hermon College, one of the colleges in India for teachers training. Wonderful training. And then we had all the top wizards from different countries, from New Zealand, from Australia, from England, from the US, from Canada. And so we had the Loreto Convent sisters coming over there. Then we had Father Leclerc, the principal of St. Joseph's College, North Point, coming over there. So they gave us a solid training, a very broad-minded training as far as teaching is concerned. It was not rote. It was not the notebook and the textbook and the blackboard. It was activity, because my teaching basically has always been centered around activity. And that group participation, the feedback that I get from the children, that makes a massive difference. I feel satisfied as a teacher when I leave the class, when the kids wish me for the second time, good morning or good afternoon, sir, thank you very much. And when I hear kids say thank you very much, I know for a fact that they've enjoyed the lesson, because I have involved them in the teaching. I mean, I'm not like a dictator standing in front of the blackboard and writing notes on the board and then asking them questions and explaining. I get the explanation, I give them thought-provoking questions, etc. And so when they come out with the answers, then I feel good. I feel that I've done something worthwhile, I'm actually earning my bread, as you say.
The youth is giving up on their dreams. So I see, a lot of young boys and girls who have lost just a little in their life but they seem to have lost everything. You had discussed this earlier with me, that in your life, when you had lost your parents, and then you lost your siblings as well. So how difficult was it to continue with your life at that point in time? I see people who confine themselves to one place, and then they get busy in their mobile phones. So is this a proper life to live, just being busy in the mobile phones and not even talking to the parents today? And where is the youth going today? What do you think? What is your take on that?
See, being depressed, being suicidal, it is something that is a sort of common feature nowadays. The depression is part of human emotion. There's no two ways of getting out of it. See, happiness is a emotion that's all recognized by all. Anger, jealousy, hate, and depression is part and parcel of that pie that makes up the whole life. So, what I can tell the youth right now is that I was fortunate that I was a lonely guy. And the youth today are not lonely. And the problem with the youth is that they have so many people to attend to them, and yet they feel depressed and they go into that suicidal mode at least. And the thing is that I have been blessed because I was, more or less secluded, cut off from society and all. So I had a lot of time to think. So I've got used to boredom, I've got used to depression, I've got used to sadness and all. Why? Because I had time. God had given me that time. Acha, these are the emotions that will, consume you. But at the same time, He gave me the necessary strength to overcome these problems. And the greatest strength that God has given me, besides the family I have, is the business of teaching. I am so involved in the teaching that basically I am not sort of cut out to be a depressed person. You'll always find me in a normal mood, either very happy or quiet. Well, I'm not a moody guy, I'm not erratic in nature and anything, but the thing is that I have been blessed with this loneliness which gives me time to think for myself. And when I am lonely, I have all this sort of space possible. So loneliness basically is a gift that is given by God. And people today don't have time for that loneliness, which they should. They should sit and have time for themselves. They should contemplate. They should take control of their lives. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. And you can only take care of your life. You can only sum up your good and bad points, provided you have that particular space within you. And that space is loneliness. Now look at Jesus Christ, look at Gautam Buddha, Muhammad the Prophet, all these great leaders, religious leaders of different religions. Where did they go for inspiration? They went to lonely places. And it is in these lonely places that they got the inspiration, that they took full control of their body. And once the body was under their control, their mind and the spirit followed. So this is my advice to the kids. Loneliness is a good thing, and acceptance is excellent. And once you have these two qualities in you, then of course life will move to your advantage.
What message would you like to give to the teachers who are in this profession?
See to the principals of all the schools in India and elsewhere, build a nice rapport with the teachers. If you want work done, that's the best way to do it. Create an atmosphere, a very congenial atmosphere in the school by keeping the teachers close to you. That's one way. Where the teaching is concerned, the teachers from different schools in different parts of the country and all that, if you stop talking extra in the class and get on with activity in the class, get the children involved in your teaching through the question and answer method, through various forms of activities in quiz, and maybe you have a debate or elocution or extempo in the class and all that. Award marks, and of course, award them with good comments. And those children that are not very attentive and all that, bring them into the limelight. Give them some work or the other in the class where they feel that they are important. Because most of the children feel that they are useless in studies, so they take the back seat. In fact, I was a backbencher in my life, practically my whole life. But my thinking was very forward. So once the backbenchers are involved in some sort of activity and all, to their level, you will find that the students will work wonderfully. So get them on your side. And the only way to get them on your side is to involve yourself in teaching. Involve the children in your teaching. That's the idea. And to the youth, I say, accept your mistakes, accept your faults, accept that you are lonely, accept that you are suicidal, accept that you are depressed, accept these negative emotions. And once you start accepting everything, then things will work out in your favor.
You need to have some time spared in silence so that you let God talk to you. Richard Uncle had a very great experience because he spent most of his life in silence, and that is when God spoke to him. And he learned a lot of things, which is why he has become an inspiration for the youth. Not only for the youth, but whoever he speaks to. And he's quite a jolly person. Even at this age, you might wonder, but he still treks. And he leaves the youth behind. That's the best part. I went with him to Nainital once, and he kept trekking, all day long, and he was not tired, whereas, we all were.
Oh yes, you can ask. Ladies and gentlemen, you can ask at least 1,000 Aloysian boys from the age of from the year 1987 up to 2011. The amount of children that went up with me to Nainital, Dudhwa National Park, to Goa, and to Nainital, of course, that was the main hideout. In fact, the amount of trekking we did out there was endless. Up China Peak, up to the zoo, Snowview, all the schools, Land's End, and the works. And the children were amazed. Sir, at your age, you walk faster than us and you breathe better than us. So what is the secret of your success? So I tell them, I make up my mind once and for all that I have to accept the fact that I'm going up this hill and I'm reaching that point. And that acceptance gives me courage.
Yeah. See? So we conclude it to acceptance. Accept yourselves as you are and learn to spend time in silence. This will take you a long way. Thank you so much for listening to us. Have a blessed time ahead.